Hi everyone, so today I want to talk about having kids for the wrong reasons. And this is just my opinion. You might think that several, many, or all of the reasons that I give that I think are wrong, you might think that they are good reasons for you to have children, and that is fine. That is your opinion. This is just my opinion, okay? First of all, I'm going to start with, I don't think it counts if you perhaps decided to have a kid because your condom broke or because you were raped and you decided to have that child because you were not actually planning on having that child, but you went ahead and did it anyways, which is fine. However, most people, I think, have kids because we've been programmed from a very young age to think that we need to procreate, and we never really question whether it's a good idea or not to do so. So we just go ahead and do it because everybody else does it. So that's one of the reasons. The other reason, it's because we have come to believe that our life is not going to have any meaning, or that you cannot be happily married if you don't have kids. The other reason is because religion tells you that you should reproduce. And even though this might go against what you actually want in your heart, that you're like, I don't really want to have that many kids, but my church folk is telling me that I need to have kids because that's what God wants me to do, so that's what I'm going to do. So that's another reason why people have kids. Another one, it's because you want to give your parents grandchildren. I have heard many people complain that their parents are pressuring them to have kids even though they don't want any, as if it was your obligation to give your parents grandchildren. It is not your obligation to give your parents grandchildren. They chose to have kids, and it is your choice to have or not have kids. So I find this very appalling that you are trying to pressure your children to give you grandkids as if that was their obligation. It is not their obligation. It is their choice if they don't want to give you any. Or there are some people that probably have kids just so that their kids can one day have kids and give them grandchildren, which I also think that it is absurd. Perhaps because you think, oh, well, that's really going to make me happy. I don't really care about my kids. I just care that they're someday going to give me grandkids, and I'm going to get to enjoy them and spoil them and blah, 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 blah. So you're thinking about that because you think that that's really going to give your life meaning and bring you joy, and that's why you chose to have children. Another reason is because you have a void in your life or in your heart and you want to fill it up with something. So you decide to have a child because you think that that human being is going to fill the void that you have inside. And even if that were the case, even if that child does fill that void and bring you happiness and give your life meaning, I don't think that it is fair for that child to be brought into this world so that it can give you happiness. What about the happiness of the child? Another reason is because somebody convinced you that this is what would make you feel fulfilled in life if you have a child. That if you don't have a child, you're not going to know what true unconditional love is, and you're going to be missing out, and you're never going to be truly happy until you have a kid. I know plenty of people that don't have kids and are very much fulfilled. And I know a lot of people that have kids and are very much miserable. So I don't think that that is a guarantee. Besides, once again, it's just focusing on you, on what you want, how it's going to make you feel, not how the child is going to feel about it. Another reason is because you want somebody that looks just like you. Oh my goodness. I have had people tell me, oh, I had a child, but he looked just like my husband, and I wanted somebody to look like me, so I went ahead and had another kid. I find that absolutely ludicrous, that you would have a kid just because you want somebody to look like you. To me, that is not a good enough reason. Another reason is because you want to trap a woman or a man with a child. wanting to have a kid just so that somebody stays with you, even though they do not love you, and just because you want to like trap them to being with you, you have mental problems. You should deal with those issues. Bringing a child into this world just because you want a man or a woman to be with you, please look at yourself. Go to a psychotherapist or something because you have greater issues, okay? Or there are some people that have kids because somehow they want to save their marriage or their relationship with the kid. They think that if their marriage is horrible and if their relationship is miserable, that bringing a child is going to somehow fix that. If a person doesn't love you now, I don't think that you giving them a responsibility is going to help them love you then. They might stay with you because now they're responsible for someone, but not because they really love you. So why would you want to bring a child as a bait and use them as a bait and say, oh yeah, well now you're going to have to stay with me and be with me because you have a kid with me? That, to me, that's not a good enough reason. The other is that perhaps your partner wants to have a kid even though you don't want to, right? Even though you're like, I really don't want to have kids. I don't have a maternal instinct or paternal instinct. But my wife really wants to, my husband really wants to, so I'm going to give them a kid just because they want to. I think that is something that you need to talk about before you get married. I mean, for me, it was like a first date conversation of like, you know what, I don't want any kids. So if you really, really want kids, you should go look for somebody else because this is not going to change. I am not going to change my mind. And I am not going to bring a child into this world and have a responsibility for life just because that is going to give you some type of pleasure or satisfaction. To me, it was never worth it. I don't care who you are. The other reason is because the husband is ill, or he's going to war, or he is about to die, and you want something to remember him by. Because I know some women that have done this. It'll be like, oh, well, you know, in case he dies when he goes to war, at least I want something to remember him by. Kids are not a souvenir, okay? It's not like you went to Disneyland and you bought a pen to remind you of your trip. If you want a reminder of that person, just take a freaking picture. That's all you need. You don't need to have a kid with them. And then a lot of these women eventually, you know, they have this child now and then they fall in love with somebody else and now, oops, now I have a kid and that makes it complicated. And now this other man wants a kid with them. So now they start having all these kids with all these men because they're like, oh, well, in every relationship, you want to have like a freaking souvenir from each one of them. Another reason is because when you were 8 years old, you had a dream of having 5 children. You wanted a big family. When you were 8 years old, you had no reason, no logic, no intelligence to know if that was a good idea or not. Now you do. Now, if you see, hey, you know what? I don't have an education. I don't even have a stable job. I don't have a good relationship. I'm not even married. I don't even have a good partner. Is it a good idea for me to have 5 kids? Think. If it's not, don't have them. Let go of that dream. Because that dream will become a nightmare. I guarantee you. The other reason is because many women have kids so that the government will give them money. I don't know if this is still the fact in the US, but I know that that's how it used to be. Single mothers, they used to get help from the government. So the more kids they had, the more money they would get. So I don't think that that's a good idea to have kids. The other reason is because you want somebody to take care of you when you are old. So it's kind of like a security blanket or something like, oh, I'm going to have kids, I'm going to raise them and invest all my money and time and energy into them so that eventually they will take care of me. So again, it's about you. It's not really about your kids. You know, to me, it's like, okay, all that money that you spent raising these 5 kids, maybe you should have saved it and invested that money so that when you were elder and ill or something, you could pay somebody to take care of you and it doesn't have to be your children. You don't have to be a burden to your own kids. The other reason is because everybody else is doing it and you want to do it too because you don't want to be left behind. It's like your friend did it and you're like, oh, they're so cute. Yeah, I want one of those too. I want a baby. reason is because I do believe that there are some people, women especially, that they feel that when somebody needs them, that makes them feel valuable and special. So it's like thinking, oh, my kids, I have all these kids and they need me, you know? So that means that I'm important and that I'm indispensable and that I'm valuable because somebody needs me. Because they feel that their only way of feeling alive and valued is if somebody needs them. Another reason is because some people feel that they want to give their children what they didn't have. It's like they're trying to relive their own childhood through their kids. The way that I see it is if you had a shitty childhood and now you think, oh, you know what? I'm going to have kids because that's what pops into your head. I know that because when you're a child and you're having a horrible childhood, you're like, oh, well, when I grow up and have kids, I'm going to give them what my parents didn't give me. I'm going to give them the life that I wish I would have had. As if that was going to fix your childhood. I personally don't think that it is fair that you're going to bring another person into this world just so that you feel that you can make your wrongs right. And another reason is if you are a narcissist, which there are many people that are, and you are just using your kids to expand your ego or something, there are a lot of people that do this. They only have kids just so they have something to show off to other people as if it was like a trophy or something. There are people that look for admiration from others through the success of their children as if it were their own. And I think that a lot of people put their kids into so many activities and all these things, and they pressure them to be great and to be good at sports and be good in school and to be number one, blah, 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 just so they can have something to show off to their friends and family. And you might say, well, I'm doing this for your benefit. I'm doing this for you. When in reality, you're doing it for yourself. You're doing it because you want somebody to admire you. You want people to think that you're a wonderful parent and you want them to congratulate you for all the wonderful things that your kids are doing. And you are just using them as an object to fulfill the needs of your ego. And if you think that all these things are perfectly legit reasons to have children, good for you. Good for you. But I don't think so, and I just wanted to share my thoughts about it. So I think that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.